Who's Who, the most informative show in the Mid-South, hosted by Kenneth Fields, the show that asks the real questions for the real people.
Hello, I'm Kenneth Fields, the host of Who's Who, my show, informative talk show that's here to inform Memphis and the surrounding areas. Your cousin, your friend, your nephew, here with his own show, Who's Who. Hello, I'm Kenneth Fields.
And I'm Tawana Murphy. And welcome to Who's Who.
And today we're in the Shelby County Divorce Reference with our Honorable Judge Carrie Woods. Judge, first I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
For taking out your busy schedule.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Flynn.
To allow us to give you this interview, to be informative, to inform someone what goes on in your courtroom and the procedures for coming in your courtroom. And first, before we go there, is that you are a divorce court judge, right?
Yes, sir.
And a child support court judge, am I correct?
That's correct.
And the papers say a divorce referee. Could you give me a brief description of what's the difference in a referee?
And a judge. Well, I am appointed. The only difference is I am appointed by the sitting mayor at this time, who is Mark Luttrell, and he appoints this office. Shelby County is the only county in Tennessee that has a divorce referee. The term difference in referee and proctoring is that the history of this began about 1915, and they at that time were proctors. It's just the naming of a special administrative judge that handles temporary child support and alimony. Once a divorce is filed, within 8 days, a party may seek a hearing before this court to set temporary child support and temporary alimony. And then we'll schedule them a hearing, and it's a temporary, quick fix to maintain the status quo while the divorce is pending. It takes up to 90 days before you can get a court date on a divorce. 60 days, you can get a hearing date within 60 days if you do not have children. If you do have children, it's going to take you 90 days from the filing of the divorce before you can get a hearing here before you can get a divorce in Shelby County.
Okay, so what if it was a non-contested?
Okay, an uncontested divorce is still going to be the same. If it's uncontested, you can still get it. An uncontested or contested divorce can set a temporary pending light motions, is what they call them, within 8 days. In order to accomplish the entire divorce, it's going to take you, as I said, 60 days before you can get a hearing date. If there are no children, 90 days if you do have children.
Do you need a lawyer in this process, or could it be done individually? Say like just with no lawyer,
Yes, sir.
Can a lady or a man just come and just do the paperwork and let it roll out
Yes, sir.
without the legal procedures?
Last year, up through this November date, we had about 80 persons who filed divorces who were not attorneys, and we call them pro se litigants. That means they represent themselves, and all of the papers, if you meet certain criteria or requirements, are online. Currently, if you want to file a divorce on your own pro se, you can always go to www.tncourts.gov, and they'll provide you with all of the forms necessary to represent yourself in a divorce.
What are the criteria someone have to meet?
Well,
Because he asking all the questions, so I'm just sitting here listening.
all right, so the first criteria on the uncontested divorce, if there are no children, there's one form that you complete. They are developing a form now with children. What that form asks is for your full name, the wife's maiden name, your current address, the number of marriages, your date of birth, your race, whether you have insurance, health insurance for one another, whether you have a retirement system, whether you have real estate, and whether you're on an uncontested divorce. Normally, we try to have a marriage dissolution agreement which settles all of your real and personal property.
Great.
Now you actually, can, ask you all the questions that I was supposed to ask. So,
Those were the easy ones.
right, well, those were the easy ones.
man.
So I'm going to just do something a little bit different. What do you do outside of the courtroom?
What do I do outside the courtroom?
Outside the courtroom.
I'm a member of the Optimist Club, Optimist International,
Okay.
and that's a program designed to help kids. So I'm the president of the local Curve Optimist Club here at Metropolitan Baptist Church. I'm also involved with the Masons and also involved with the Shriners. I'm also involved with Phi Alpha fraternity. I also serve on the board with the Step Ahead Foundation, which is a very important program that attempts to provide mothers with birth control and planned parenting.
Okay.
So those are my hobbies and interests in trying to deal primarily with children.
Okay, that's cool. Because, sometimes when we're doing interviews and we're talking to different people around the city, we want to know some extra things that go on. Because most people say, oh, he's just a judge and he don't do nothing. He don't know what we're going through. So many people don't understand that there is something else happening outside of the courtroom. And I know sometimes when you're in a courtroom, this is my question. Well, I've been asking questions. But I know sometimes you get those hostile people that they want to fight. In the courtroom. How do you handle situations like that? I know you can just hit the hammer and just like and say shut up, or I'm gonna hold you in contempt of court or something like that. But how do you handle a hostile situation when settling divorce cases?
I think nature blesses us with 2 ears and 1 mouth, and to me that means that you have to listen twice as much as you speak. So I try to listen to people and try to let them vent some of their frustrations, as long as they're not disrespectful to the court system and to the other lawyers and the opposing party. So I just listen to them, and plus we have a deputy in the courtroom with a pistol and a nightstick and mace and those things that if they get way out of hand.
Right.
So, but most people come in here, I try to be fair. I try to give them that impression I'm fair and that I'll listen to their side of the story, and I think that's important.
Right, it's absolutely important, and you can make your decision according to that. We're going to be right back with the Honorable Judge Carrie Woods right here on Who's Who.
Tryna live that high life, yeah, I need that high life.
Wednesday, November the 25th, it's the Hit the Quan takeover. All students. Hard Memphis got the whole world hitting the Quan. You seen him on the BET Hip Hop Awards. Now Hit the Quan with him live. Wednesday, November the 25th at the Greenwood Civic Center. That's right, Hard Memphis performing live at the Greenwood Civic Center. Wednesday, November the 25th. Tickets are $10 in advance and it's guaranteed to sell out. For more info, call 662-453-4065.
Hello, I'm Kenneth Fields, the host of Who's Who. Your boy, your friend, your cousin, your nephew. Here with my show, Who's Who. Who's Who airs every Thursday night at 6:30 until 7 o'clock. I look to have you tuning in to this informative talk show. I will ask you to ask a friend, to ask 10,000 to view in to Who's Who.
Tryna live that high life, yeah, I need that high life.
Saturday, February 20th, 2016 is the second annual Memphis Hip Hop Awards. That's right, Saturday, February 20th. All roads lead to the Holiday Inn Grand Ballroom, 2140 Democrat Road. It's the second annual Memphis Hip Hop Awards, baby. All the city's biggest stars under one roof for one night only. Saturday, February 20th at the Holiday Inn Grand Ballroom. Vendors and sponsors available. Call 901-463-5599.
Tryna live that high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life. Yeah, I need that high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life.
Who's Who, the most informative show in the Mid-South, hosted by Kenneth Fields, the show that asks the real questions for the real people.
Thank you. Welcome back to Who's Who. Judge, Your Honor, once again I say how honored I am to be in your presence and how grateful I am to have you on Who's Who and that you took out your diligent time to give us this interview. And before I go any further, some things I'd like to ask about you personally. Where are you really from?
I'm originally from Memphis, South Memphis. Grew up in South Memphis. Fortunate to have two good parents. Mother was a school teacher. My father was a railroad worker, so had a good upbringing.
All right.
Good, strong upbringing.
All right.
Now, I wanted to ask a question. What is the purpose of some of the hearings that you do?
Okay. The purpose of our hearings is to hear post and pending alimony and child support matters on behalf of circuit and chancery court. These hearings are called, you have to file a motion pending in light, which means a temporary hearing. As soon as a divorce is filed, some parties need temporary alimony, some parties need temporary child support. So we have those hearings, we schedule them in order to maintain the status quo of a divorce while it's pending until they get to the end of it. Sometimes the mother or the father normally needs some monies to live on until they complete the divorce. That could range from 90 days. We have divorces that have been pending for 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
So we want to maintain the status quo and let them battle the divorce hearings themselves.
Now, to all of the single mothers and even the fathers, because we have both single mothers, single fathers, many of the women, such as myself, are battling child support cases. And I asked you this when the camera wasn't rolling. Sometimes we don't know the procedures which we have to take with going to court for parental rights far as the kids are concerned. And I asked you earlier, why is it that they give you 2 or 3 days notice prior to you going to court? That doesn't give you any time to get the paperwork you need to go to court. Then you end up having to go back to court because you don't have all the documentations that you need. Why is it that we get them maybe 3-4 days? And I'm just speaking from me because I got some paperwork for child support Friday and the court date is Tuesday, and so I don't understand why it's only giving me like 3-4 days. That's not enough time to get the documentations together. So what are some of the suggestions that you have for the single parents that's battling child support at this moment?
Okay. Well, there's a difference. Now, if you're a single parent, then that's going to be typically a juvenile court. The only cases that I hear in circuit and chancery court are where they are married partners.
Okay.
And the local rules, these judges have been wise, and the local rules require that you provide the opposing party 3 days in advance of the hearing an affidavit of income and expenses. So that's the same thing that's going to occur in juvenile court. You have to always be ready and willing to provide all of your expenses. That means your rent, utilities, telephone, cable vision, food, vacation, travel, even your cosmetic and hair. You need expenses for everything because all of this relates to, alimony always relates to one party's ability to pay versus the need of the other party. So that's our guide.
So now you touched on something now because I like hair. I don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Fields, you want some hair?
Some help. There you go.
He said to hair now because my hair is expensive.
That's right.
I pay some money for my hair, Judge.
For instance, if you're married and your husband has always allowed you for the last 5 to 10 years to go and get your hair done, and that's been an expense of the marriage, then he's required while the divorce is pending to maintain that same level. So if you spend $100 to $200 a month on your hair and cosmetics, then while the divorce is pending, before you have your final hearing, he's normally going to be required to pay that same amount of money.
So I have a question. If let's say if you're married and you have a spouse that you have not seen in 7 years, when you actually get divorced, do he still pay the alimony for all that time?
No, ma'am. If you have not seen that party, and you have to serve him with those papers.
Okay.
If he gets notice, then he's going to be required to come to court and have a hearing. If he does not, then they enter what is called a default judgment,
Okay.
and the court can still award you some monies if we have enough documentation to show that he has the ability to pay.
Okay.
And that's what we consider alimony. And that's one of the more interesting areas of this job is when we determine temporary alimony, we look at the lifestyle of the parties, we look at their assets, and we look at the standard of living. So if he's kept you in a Rolls Royce for 10 years, then he's probably going to need to keep you in a Rolls Royce for 10 years.
Wow.
Okay? Or longer. It depends on how you negotiate that at the end of the divorce.
Okay. Fields?
Yes, great. As we nearing to the end of the program, I would like to speak briefly again on child support. What is some of the things that you can share with us today that might help somebody who is going through child support issues on the male and the female area? Because we have nowadays just as many males filing for child support as we do females, that will help them in the process of filing their child support issues. Where could they go to get proper help to do their filing before they get to court, and just some things such as that, if you know what I'm trying to hit on. Just some help to someone out there maybe listen to the program who's fighting issues on the child support, trying to get their money, can't find the individual, the money's held up in the court system. Just could you hit on that before?
Sure. Well, juvenile court does a good job in locating parents. They can track you down through your income tax return. They can track you down through your driver's license. But the juvenile court has a list of individuals. If you go down there any day, 5 days a week, they'll have someone to talk to you and guide you and assist you in locating the party and obtaining a court date. So juvenile court has a wide open office, but if you're dealing here in the circuit and chancery courts and you're unable to afford an attorney and you don't want to do it on your own, you may go downstairs to what we call a community legal clinic, and they're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 12.
Is it a fee for that?
There's no fee for talking to them. Okay?
All right.
And they primarily designed to help women with children or any indigent person who can complete a indigency form that lists how much they make, how much their debts are, and they have a guideline there. But all child support in both juvenile court and here are developed through what's called a child support worksheet. These are in a child support guideline, and that's from the Tennessee Department of Children's Services that sets limit. We just plug your income in, plug her income in. If you pay insurance, if you have daycare facilities, you just plug all those figures in, and it spits out a final child support amount.
Okay. Is that office also available to males as well as
Yes, sir,
females?
available to anybody, males or females.
Wow.
All right.
As you said, Mr. Fields, there are quite a few men now who are taking custody of children and requesting custody of their children.
Right.
Yes.
And oftentimes we now have 50-50, 182.5 days for each party. So we're sort of splitting custody these days, which is an interesting point. The child spends maybe 1 week with the mother, 1 week in the father, or half a year with the mother and half a year with the father.
That was the next question I was going to ask you.
That's
You just
right.
went on and into that question.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes, and many times, the father don't want that part, period, because they want their freedom to do whatever they want. And I think most women don't understand that you didn't make them by yourself. And you have to hold them accountable for their actions. And I guess somebody was saying to me, and I just gonna say it to you. Somebody was saying to me on Facebook, well, Tawana, why you want him to be a part of your son's life? And I said, I didn't make him by myself.
That's right.
He is the father. He has to help me with this. I don't understand what's wrong with these women. And I know many times, that goes to my next question, many times you deal with women that come in here and they want to argue and fight with the spouse because of he don't want to spend time, or she don't want him to have time because she's mad at the next woman because he's with another woman. So how do you deal with situations like that?
Well, Mr. Warren, that's the toughest. You've asked the toughest question all evening. Again, I just have to listen because they both have a point, but I want to make sure we understand that men are just as responsible for their children as are women. As you talked about, it took basically two of them, or it may have been a test tube baby, but normally it's the natural process. So we do not favor, although everybody's equal in the eyes of the law, a man is equally responsible for the child. He should pay half of their expenses, and he should spend half the time with them if he's not in the home, because the child needs, if it takes two to make them, it takes two to raise them.
Right.
And that's 365 days, not just these weekend fathers. You cannot raise a child adequately, and that's more of a personal opinion, that you can't raise a child on the weekends.
Right.
You got to be there with them. You got to change those diapers. You got to go to the grocery. You got to get the washing powder. You got to take them to and from school. I respect and admire mothers who have to do that on their own, and I do not respect men who make mothers do that alone.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for that. If you can give advice to the youth of today, and even the single mothers of today, what would that be?
Well, be responsible. Be responsible, have some morals, go to church periodically or regularly, whichever way you want to have it, but listen to your elders. There are not many old fools around. There are quite a few young ones around, but we have learned through mistake and through education. Get a good education. Listen to your elders. Stay in school. Have good common sense as well as good what they call book sense.
Right.
And the way it doesn't take a rocket science to know the difference between right and wrong.
Right.
And there's no excuse for not having education. There's not any excuse for not taking responsibility. Most people forget across the Supreme Court, you've got the right to do everything you want to do, just about, that's legal. But other people miss the other part of it on the Supreme Court. It has rights and responsibilities. So whatever you want to do, you've got the responsibility to for your actions at all times.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being our guest today.
What can I tell you? Thank you. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you and Mr. Fields. This is a great program. If our people had knowledge, I guess the words are that my people would perish from a lack of knowledge. So I've got to commend both of you all for this idea and this concept. And as Mr. Fields says, it's not controversial. It's just about education and learning the right way. So I commend both of you all, and I'm proud and humbled to be in the presence of both of you all here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Judge.
Thank you so much. And remember, if you would like to send any questions to the Honorable Carrie Woods, you can send them to who'swho@gmail.com. That's who'swho@gmail.com, and we'll make sure that the Honorable Judge Carrie Woods get those questions, and then we'll come back to you and we'll answer them for you, because I'm quite sure he'll answer them for you.
I sure will.
And we thank you once again for tuning in to Who's Who, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday at the same time, at the same place. Thank you.
Until then, good night, y'all.
Something to
You
add.
always do that, though. You always ask my questions. I keep trying to say you have to ask my questions.
That's why you just pop on the mouth.
That's why you owe me a steak for that. I'm telling you, you owe me a steak. That's what I want.
Hey, you keep that screen, you're gonna have to get you a hole in the wardrobe.
Yeah, I know, right?
Keep on.
Right, I got that whole one. Right. But that's all right, what you saying? But you owe me a steak because you took all my questions. Why you looking like that? Hello, you took my questions?
Mr. Murphy, Miss Murphy.
There you go. What's my problem? My problem. What?
Tryna live that
For more info, call 662-453-4065.
Tryna live that high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life. Yeah, I need that high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life.
Saturday, February 20th, 2016 is the second annual Memphis Hip Hop Awards. That's right, Saturday, February 20th. All roads lead to the Holiday Inn Grand Ballroom, 2140 Democrat Road. It's the second annual Memphis Hip Hop Awards, baby. All the city's biggest stars under one roof for one night only. Saturday, February 20th at the Holiday Inn Grand Ballroom. Vendors and sponsors available. Call 901-463-5599.
What's up with my life? For real. Ain't tryna live no low life. It's real. Tryna live that high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life. Yeah, I need that high life, high life, high life, high life, high life, high life.
Hello, I'm Kenneth Fields, the host of Who's Who, your boy, your friend, your cousin, your nephew, here with my show, Who's Who. Who's Who airs every Thursday night at 6:30 until 7 o'clock. I look to have you tuning in to this informative talk show. I will ask you to ask a friend, to ask 10,000 to view in to Who's Who.
Who's Who, the most informative show in the Mid-South, hosted by Kenneth Fields, the show that asks the real questions for the real people.